And we are back, and we are just delighted to bring you another edition of the Daily Space Weather and Earth Weather as well. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name of news. Thanks for tuning in. And we've started out today's video bringing you some imagery from SDO. This is composite imagery of ionized iron. That's the 335 angstroms, which is a bluish color, and 1600 angstroms, which is ionized carbon. And let's switch to our intensity gram here to show sunspots. We've had a little bit of growth of this sunspot group here. It did produce some minor flaring. Besides that, fairly stable. Although a new sunspot group has grown, has risen actually in the southeastern limb down here. Here's another composite. This is 171 angstroms plus colorized magnetogram. And let's subtract the 171 angstroms. Once again, this group down here in the southeast is indeed a sunspot. We'll show you an update on that toward the end of the video. By the way, make sure you follow us on Twitch. Install the Twitch mobile app. It's fantastic. Twitch.tv/SmashAmash is where we normally stream. And we actually streamed over 21 hours yesterday because, well, there was a CME that was forecasted and indeed occurred. We're also on Twitter. If you don't have a Twitter account, create one. I don't care who's banned and who's not banned. I know the censorship is pathetic. That's no reason to not go over there and hold Twitter directly accountable on their own platform. Twitter.com/SmashAmash. You'll see information you won't see anyplace else, like a great Aurora share from this morning. So visit our homepage. You can find all kinds of links on the homepage, like a permanent link to our Discord chat. Links to Twitter, to YouTube, to PayPal, to Patreon, etc., to the Smash team, and welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Once again, congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. Another link you may find on the homepage is the link to my SureMed page. If you click that link right there, you'll find my SureMed page. And if you'd like to improve your health, join the American Better Health Organization, otherwise known as SureMed, an organization dedicated to improving the health of its members. So join up there. Just the base membership is spectacular. It features all kinds of benefits like doctors by phone, counselors by phone, virtual veterinarians, discounts on dental services, on vision, things like glasses, contacts, LASIK surgery. Save on vitamins. Get the mail-order prescriptions. Add the accident insurance if you join at the Plus level. Again, links on the homepage and below the video to that. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, become a gold or silver member at the Smash Team. SmashAmash.com/Smash Team is the site we've replaced Patreon with. We needed some superior capabilities, so we created our own. SmashAmash.com/Smash Team. Again, you can find the links below the video. Join at the gold or silver level. There's even a bronze level, and we do send out email alerts as well. When disasters happen, when certain alerts occur, we do send out email alerts, so sign up for those when you create an account over there at SmashAmash.com/Smash Team. Press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube. If you refuse to open your cobweb-encrusted wallet and send us any cash or purchase any merch, etc., press like, press subscribe, press share, leave us a comment. View our older videos, like our beer review. You want to hear about the world's first Pilsner? Well, check out my review. Also, playlists about cosmology. SmashAmash.org presents The Sun and more on the homepage. At youtube.com/SmashAmash. Thanks to our subscribers, old, new, and indifferent. Links also below the video to our Redbubble shop. You'll find our items listed in order of best selling, even those which we're not able to mention. So check that out. Again, links below the video and on the homepage at smashamash.com. Today's featured product is Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera, because, folks, our finest days lie ahead. And thanks for leaving a comment, TinMan1057. Our finest days lie ahead, folks. So don't pick a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And if you're going to visit a volcano, leave your vault pole at home. Don't pole vault the caldera. It could be unhealthful, and we need the views on YouTube. Just kidding, folks. And of course, the great graphics there are printed on the products at a very high quality, very high resolution there. Thanks to everybody who's picked up merch. Everything from pillows to tote bags, even socks. So if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't be superstitious. Don't throw that virgin into the volcano. It's not going to change the weather. And don't pole vault the caldera. It could be unhealthful. Let's talk about volcanoes. Here's the rundown for what's been erupting right now. Shivaluch volcanic ash not identifiable in satellite imagery. Don't pole vault the Kamchatkan caldera. It's probably erupting. Sakurajima exploded, produced a 7,000-foot ash plume. Suwanosejima erupted, produced an 8,000-foot ash plume. Semeru exploded, 14,000-foot ash plume, flight level 140 over East Java, Indonesia. Dakono exploding, flight level 080 over Halmahera. It's an 8,000-foot ash plume. And headed down to central Mexico, Popocatépetl exploding, 23,000-foot ash plume from Popocatépetl. Not too far from Mexico City there. Flight level 230 over central Mexico. Sangay exploding in Ecuador. Flight level 200 as Sangay explodes. Also Revenador in that same country exploding. Flight level 160. It's a 16,000-foot ash plume. And headed down in South America, we see Sabancaya exploding. 24,000-foot ash plume. Flight level 240. Once again, do not pole vault the caldera. Next, looking at earthquake activity here for the past 90 days. And it has picked up a little bit. Only one 7-magnitude earthquake in the past 90 days. It's a bit of an earthquake drought indeed. And we only saw the largest quakes of the past 24 have been only a 5.4 magnitude, a low number of quakes worldwide. One of those 5.4s happened near the Fiji Islands. It was at nearly 500 kilometers estimated depth. That occurred at 15:05 yesterday. The other one was in Peru. That occurred at 21:59 yesterday evening. Those times are all in universal time, by the way. And we're just going to scroll up the list here. Let us know if we missed anything by leaving a comment. Flagstaff, Arizona, seeing an earthquake there at a 2.7 magnitude. That's interesting. Not exactly the most common place for an earthquake there. Also, Russia and Timor-Leste having 5+ magnitude quakes happen just in the past couple of hours. And before we get back to space, let's pause for station identification. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network and stargazing with us. Good morning, Tin Man 1057. So here is the ionized helium view. That's the last 24 hours from SDO. And indeed we did see a coronal mass ejection as forecasted. We'll get to it. Radio flux now at 127 solar flux units. And there's the 1-year chart of the radio flux. The black line there represents the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, the most proportional data set we have to sunspot number. Sunspot number goes up, so does radio flux, and vice versa. Next, the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here, forecasting not a lot of geomagnetic unrest or geomagnetic storm activity. We have seen the magnetic field shift, so we may go back into geomagnetic unrest here early today. So we'll see what happens there. We'll show you the solar wind data here momentarily. First Earth magnetic moment from space. So that's the last 4 hours, modeled in magnetohydrodynamic pressure. And if you want to read about where the model comes from, head to the Geospace Magnetosphere movie, click on the Details tab in your lower left corner there. Click on the Details tab, you'll have a link to the Space Weather Modeling Framework. It'll tell you all about the variables used. You can download the data yourself. It uses a lot of different data to create a reasonable model of Earth's magnetic moment from space to about 12 Earth diameters. Next, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Scale here, nanotesla, magnetic flux density. Like the geospace magnetosphere movie, the ground magnetic perturbations map is also the last 4 hours. It'll show you the most likely places for aurora, also pipeline, power line, and railway induction caused by electricity from space, induced current. Next, the KP index here at 3. Again, this may go into geomagnetic unrest back to KP4. As we've seen a shift in the magnetic fields, for you new viewers, the KP index is a measurement of global geomagnetism. So here is the real-time solar wind, and we are seeing a recent shift here. So if you look at this top pane, this pane up here, this is the magnetic field increased a bit, and the BZ is in a strong negative mode here. So we may go back to geomagnetic unrest if the rest of the conditions stay about the same. And those current conditions are about 8 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind here dropping below 500 kilometers per second to 491 kilometers per second as the solar wind remains elevated here with a high-speed coronal hole wind stream. Here are your GOES magnetometers over the past 3 days. Continuing to see some spiky readings there as high-speed plasma arrives at Earth. Let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. We are seeing most of the north solar polar field here pointed right at the Earth. Some south pole coronal holes rotating in. We'll get to those momentarily. First, the line of sight field plot. And interestingly, we've got some north pole magnetism all the way down toward the south solar polar region. So down here, north pole magnetism really at both poles at the moment. That's our line of sight coronal hole plot. South pole oriented coronal holes here rotating in on the eastern limb, especially in the north. So these are south pole oriented coronal holes. This one down here is north pole oriented. So the north solar polar field there mostly oriented at the north heliographic pole, some of it already making its way all the way down to the south. So the north solar polar field here a bit broken up, really. And most of the north solar polar field here oriented toward the Earth at the moment. That's the last 24 hours from SDO. Next, move into sunspots. Since we show the most comprehensive space weather in the world, next is sunspots. And what the heck, this group here isn't named yet? That's weird. That needs to be named. It should be 3099, I think. And sunspot 3100 just rose down here in the southeast. So I believe that'll be the name of that group there. A little bit of an increase in its umbral area. We'll show you the SDO continuum next. You'll see a little bit of growth in this sunspot here. I guess 3099. And let's zoom in a bit on that. So quite a lot of sunspots in that area, all around there, in the northeastern hemisphere, northeastern quadrant. And that area up there is the most likely place to see solar flares moving forward. And let's go to the SDO magnetogram next. All of these images are 24 hours worth from SDO. And thanks for leaving comments, BMVR13. Next, we'll talk about solar flaring, which has been kind of low. A couple of C-class intensifications here since yesterday. Looks like about 5 C-class flares. And here's the 94 angstroms wavelength for the past 24. Flaring coming from this new group, sunspot 3099. And you can also see this bright region down here. That's also a sunspot now. That'll be sunspot 3100. We did see a minor uptick here in the proton flux. Nothing really worth mentioning. It's pretty minor. So a little bit of relativistic particles showing up there. Not really likely to cause any polar radio blackouts or any significant effects here on planet Earth. And we encourage our viewers to look up, so we use in-the-sky.org for our star charts. If you're up before dawn and you've got clear skies, you may see Jupiter, Mars, and Venus up there on the ecliptic. in-the-sky.org is the site we're using. If you want to create your own star chart, just put in your zip code. And let's do a solar system forecast. Looks like we've got full moon coming tomorrow. So welcome to 9/9/2022, September 9th. Here's your 1-week solar system forecast. Keep in mind, this diagram is not to scale. There's where things will be in a week. We will have a gibbous waning moon. And if you're wondering if Jupiter will kill you, the answer is no. Now let's take a look at some coronagraphs. Here's the CME that we forecasted yesterday. It does not appear to be earthly directed. It's sort of on the far side of the sun. And we'd like to show you stereo A's imagery, but there's no imagery there. It's ancient. It's like 4 days old now. So we're going to show you the viewpoint from Lagrange 1, not stereo A. Stereo A, we just paused it there on the 5th because it's got old data. So there's the Soho Lasco C3. We're also going to show some more imagery of that. Let me just pause a minute here because we've got some spectacular close-ups. So let's go to that next. We're going to start zoomed out, and then we're going to zoom way in to show some fantastic imagery of that CME. So there's the last 24 hours, Soho Lasco C2, C3, and SDO 304 angstroms. There's a CME we forecasted yesterday. Here's a little closer view. Again, does not appear to be earthly directed. Somewhat on the far side of the sun and also to the southwest. And here's the closest image we've got of that. Yes, good stuff. A very large prominence there, unable to be sustained by the magnetic fields, defying solar gravity, and ending up sent out into the greater solar system. Next, looking at filaments, the possibility for additional coronal mass ejections is very high. We've got a huge number of filaments in the southern hemisphere, as well as the northern hemisphere, lots of solar filaments. Don't be surprised to see additional coronal mass ejections. We hope stereo A comes back online soon. And here's the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. This is what we streamed for over 21 hours yesterday on our Twitch channel. Again, twitch.tv/smashomash. Keep an eye on those filaments. Here's the house favorite 171 angstroms for the past 24 hours. We've shown practically every wavelength from SDO today. And let's go to our bonus features segment. There's an electron storm going on. We talked about it in depth yesterday. Watch yesterday's space weather video if you want to read about the Russell-McFerrin effect. If you want to hear about the Russell-McFerrin effect, we explain it. We've got some charging hazards here, caused by both high-energy and low-energy electrons. The surface charging by the low-energy variety of electrons, and the internal charging caused by the high-energy variety of electrons. So significant satellite issues may occur today. You may see some funky data if you're looking at things like weather satellites and so on. Significant charging hazards. Electron flux has reached over 22 times warning levels, the highest levels we've seen in the past year. There's the 3-day chart. If you look at the 7-day chart, by the way, we sent out an email alert about this at smashomash.com/smashteam. So once again, go over there and set up a membership if you'd like alerts about all kinds of things like tsunamis, large earthquakes, and space weather alerts. There's the NOAA forecast, and you can see the levels there a little bit higher than the forecast. And expecting a bit of a dip here in the electron flux in the coming days, giving satellites a little bit of a breather there. There's the 1-year chart. You can see just surpassing the levels we saw a couple of weeks ago, the highest levels we've seen in a year. And that's what you can expect following a long coronal hole high-speed stream. This is just a diagram of things like the temperature of the thermosphere, the penetration of electromagnetic radiation into Earth's atmospheric layers, and molecular density in the atmospheric layers. And this is the vibrational frequency of the F ionosphere layer. That's located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Vibrational frequency shown here in megahertz, millions of vibrations per second. We have been seeing quite a few anomalies here. They are simmering down a little bit. We're going to show you the anomalygram as well, because that might be a little bit much to understand, the ionogram. So here's the anomalygram showing anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Quite a lot of high-frequency anomalies here, as well as rapid swings from low to high frequency. As we approach the equinox, September is the most geomagnetically active month of the year. There's the latest image. That's 10:15 Universal Time vibrational frequency and 10:15 Universal Time anomalygram. We'll also show the total electron content forecast, which is the electrons from about 12,000 miles of altitude all the way down to your GPS handset. It's the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. And electrons remain fairly organized here. That's the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset, all the way from the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt down to ground level. The most likely places for GPS errors depicted there. And next we're going to show you this new sunspot 3100. So there's the latest magnetogram and intensitygram, and that is already a beta gamma class sunspot. It has grown since we did show prep. So additional umbrae showing up there already. Likelihood of solar flares goes way up. So don't be surprised to see a major flare with this already. Major flares more likely at the limb. What can I say? Solar flares are likely anisotropic. We need an X-ray detector at stereo A or stereo B or on solar orbiter or something, because we need to see if X-rays show up at higher intensities out of the Earth-Sun line. It'll tell us something about what stars are made of, most likely. We won't get into that in today's video. We'll have to save that for cosmology segments or something like that. But we do see an uptick here in solar activity since yesterday. So let's bring up another composite here. This is, we're going to do Iron Star, 94, 335, and 193 angstroms. That is yesterday plus today. I think we've got one more before we go to meteorology. This is 193 plus 131. That's just the past 24 hours. Yes. The most spectacular imagery you'll see of the sun and the most detailed space weather you'll find any place in the world. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Next thing we're going to look at is waves. And once again, thanks for leaving comments. BMVR13. Oh my God. Save us from the propaganda, nonsense, disinformation, and fraud on YouTube. Part of the purpose of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, is to do just that. So we're looking at significant wave height here, and we've got over 42-foot waves in the North Atlantic. So over 42-foot waves there. Those may be the largest waves in the world, but that's the current state of affairs for high seas. Not a good day to be out fishing with Marky Mark and George Clooney. That's a reference to The Perfect Storm, by the way, if you're wondering. And we're going to switch to our regularly scheduled wind maps here and show you the world over. There are the surface winds of the eastern world. Here are the jet streams of the eastern world. Huge anticyclone here in the northwest Pacific. That is a high pressure zone. Next, the jet streams of the western world, the Americas. Huge jet stream convergence happening there in the North Atlantic. Here are the surface winds. Like sands through the hourglass of time. Those are the surface winds of your lives. Oh my God, those are the surface winds. By the way, that hurricane did make a break to the east as the GFS model forecasted, instead of striking Bermuda directly, thanks to the jet stream. No, it was not mankind weather manipulation. Here are the jet streams of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Jet stream here blowing backwards over the northern Indian Ocean. So here's your water vapor map for the western world. A lot of moisture there over Central America and southern Mexico. Shout out to our viewers from south of the equator, like Bruce. We hope things are working out well for you, Bruce. We hope you have an abundance of coffee. So that's your water vapor map from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. And here's your weather.gov map. Quite a bit of flooding here in southern Nevada, southeastern California, and western Arizona. Also some flood watches there in southern Alaska. If your county is lit, head to weather.gov and click your county, get your weather warnings. Some flood watches there around the Gulf Coast of Florida as well. Also southern New Jersey. Again, if your county's lit, click your county. And by the way, that's a freeze warning. If you're wondering what that is a freeze warning for Wyoming. And we're going to bring up some forecasts here. They were not available when we did show prep, so let's do it now. Here's your total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches based on the GFS model. That is the next 72 hours of likely total accumulated precipitation. Again, it's the GFS model, and rain totals here are in inches. Next, we're going to show the pressure and precipitation forecast based on the same model. There's a GFS pressure and precipitation forecast for 72 hours. And that system is going to head to the west and break down quite promptly there. Next, 72-hour temperature anomaly forecast. Because if we're going to have a freeze warning while it's still summer in Wyoming, let's see how cold it's expected to get. And it looks like it's expected to get quite cold here. Keep in mind, temperature anomalies shown here in degrees Celsius. Looking at like 16 degrees Celsius below normal there in a large portion of the north central U.S. Once again, that's your 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. Facts. We cite them on the channel. We don't show extra long forecasts that make no sense. That is what we do here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We don't put up propaganda and nonsense. Seeing some satellite anomalies happening here caused by those charging hazards we talked about earlier. There's the satellite imagery for the Western Atlantic and Eastern Pacific. Fantastic imagery there from windy.com. And that hurricane now moving to the northeast from Bermuda. Skies clearing up over the island nation. Next, your NASA GOES lightning mapper. There's a lightning over the past about 10 hours. And let's switch to a real-time lightning map, as I think there are some terrestrial strikes in the U.S. So here's lightningmaps.org. If you've never checked it out, next time you hear thunder, head to lightningmaps.org. It's splentacular, powered by blitzachtung.org. And thanks for all those comments, BMVR13. So we've got some terrestrial strikes here around the Gulf Coast, just off the coast of Nolans and Pensacola and Gulfport. Shout out to our viewers from all around the country and world. We've also got some strikes on the banks of Lake Superior here. Some thunder rolling into Ironwood there. Again, next time you hear thunder, check out lightningmaps.org. It could save your bacon and allow you to convince the natives that you are Thor or something like that. Forecast thunder. And, become like a horror movie villain or something like that. It could be fun. And let's take a look at the U.S. National Doppler Radar. So there is the whole country. I wish they would get rid of this idiotic bar up here. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just in the way. Heavy rains there still striking Alaska. We're going to focus on the lower 48 for the remainder of the video. There is the U.S. Doppler radar for the lower 48. Heavy rains there approaching Tijuana and San Diego. And unfortunately, we've got to pause here for a moment to bring up the shortwave radiation map and water vapor map as they have timed out. And here you go. That shows clouds and fog. It's 3.9 nanometer radiation from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite. And here is water vapor, and you can see this south to north flow happening here in the eastern Gulf, right down here. That's creating some major pressure gradients there along the Gulf Coast. And a bunch of dry mass of air over the eastern central portion of the country. Hopefully that clears things up for you. When your Doppler radar is not giving you enough information, use the water vapor map. It will help to clear things up. So there's the ground-based Doppler radar systems measuring vertical motion of water droplets in the air column. Here is the shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog when it's too dark to use the visible satellite. And there is the water vapor map. Once again, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate your viewership at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video are not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted name in news.